Today on Judge Faith, an unfortunate accident results in a disagreement between drivers over who's at fault for the fender bender.
I saw in my rear view mirror a car approaching me fast. It didn't look like they were going to stop, and sure enough, it didn't.
No, Your Honor, that's not the way it happened.
If you would allow me to run these proceedings, I know you're sitting up here with me. You're still a witness, okay? I'm still running the courtroom, all right?
And later, a friendly arrangement between friends to share a cell phone account ends in a stack of overdue bills.
She could have let me know that I could not come out of her plan when I indicated to her a week before I was thinking about switching.
She asked and she was a friend, so I trusted her.
You trust her to go out to dinner, but now we're talking about a responsibility for a bill, right?
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiffs Hannah and Michael Lee say the defendant failed to stop and rear-ended their car because she was distracted by her GPS. They're suing for a rental car fee and pain and suffering. Defendant Nancy Parton says she doesn't owe any money because Hannah suddenly reversed into her car. She's countersuing for car damages.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Lee and Lee versus Parton.
Thank you, Juan. Hannah and Michael Lee?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were suing the defendant, Nancy Parton?
Yes.
For $496 for car rental fees and pain and suffering you say you suffered as a result of a car accident?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are countersuing, ma'am, for $4,000 for car damages you say your car sustained as a result of this accident. So this took place on what date, Miss Lee?
July 2nd, 2015.
What happened?
I was just coming back from the movies. I was nannying a little boy, and we were about to get on the freeway on-ramp, stopped at a red light.
You were completely stopped at a red light?
Yes, I was
And
stopped.
were you in the car too, sir? You're her father?
I'm her father. I was not in the car.
Okay.
Just a little boy in the back seat. I was stopped at a red light. I was the only car there. And I saw in my rear view mirror a car approaching me fast. It didn't look like they were going to stop, and sure enough, it didn't. And it hit the back of me, pushing me into the intersection. But I was on the right-hand side, and it was a three-way intersection, so I felt safe to get out after I checked that the little boy was okay in the back. I hopped out of my car to go ask the car behind me to follow me to a parking lot that I knew was up ahead. And she said that she was on her GPS, and she was sorry. And I said, okay, can we just get out of the road? Can we go up to this parking lot?
Tell me what's going on. What happened?
I can't hear you. I'm totally deaf in this ear and almost totally deaf here, and I can't hear anything you're saying.
You can't hear anything I'm saying right now?
Coming up, the ladies take their fender bender dispute to the next level.
Nancy called me after I sent that letter to her and basically, kind of threatened me.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's trying to extort money from me. She's trying to extort money from my daughter.
And later, former friends disagree about who should pay for their broken cell phone contract.
She should have said, well, it's going to be a fee if you come off the plan.
Is she your Sprint representative now?
It was already irritating that I have to keep reminding you to pay your bill. You're grown. I shouldn't have to tell you, hey, pay your bill. Hey, pay your bill. But I did.
Plaintiffs Michael and Hannah Lee say Nancy is at fault for the accident. They're suing for a rental car fee and pain and suffering. Defendant Nancy Parton says she owes nothing because it was Hannah who caused the accident. She's countersuing for car damages.
So, Ms. Parton could not hear me, so we took a brief recess, and she's now seated next to me in the witness box. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead with the proceeding. So how was your car damaged? You have photos of the damages to your car?
Yeah, I do.
Let me see the photos, please.
So that's my car. As you can see, the trunk is not aligned. It's on the left-hand side of the car. That's her car. That's the front. She didn't take any pictures or anything. She didn't even get out of her car to...
No, Your Honor, that's not the way it happened.
Okay, so you can hear everything now, right? Right? Okay.
That's not the way it happened.
Okay, so Miss Pardon, why don't you tell me your version of what happened? She said that you ran into her. She was completely stopped at a red light.
Well, she was a red light, all right, and so I pulled up at the red light too. So then she lets off her brake, and I think that she's gonna move forward, but she don't move forward. She comes backward on me and hits me. And so then I'm thinking we need to call the CHP. And so, but she says, no, we don't need to call them. And I said, yeah, we do. No, we don't. Let's pull over here in the parking lot. Where I'm from in Carolina, that's not how you do things. You automatically call the highway patrol.
So did you call them?
No, and she didn't either.
Well, why didn't you call them?
Well, because she didn't want to call them, but I did. And
Not
I
true.
should have went by my instinct and called them.
Not true, Your
I
Honor.
should have done it.
I did call the CHP, actually.
She said she did call the
She
police.
didn't call them. Nobody called them. They were not called. She said, let's move her over into the parking lot. I said, no, I don't want to do that. Well, we did move over.
So you say you called the police, and what happened?
I called them. I told them the situation, and they said, are there any injuries? And I said, no, because Nancy never told me she was injured.
And so
none
they
of us-
said since there are no injuries,
they
they're not
wouldn't
coming
come
out.
Yeah.
And Juan, having responded to these traffic accidents, are there occasions where the police will tell callers they are not going to respond to a traffic accident if there are no injuries?
Absolutely. We only take reports if there's injury, complaint of injury, or if it's a hit and run.
All right, so the police didn't respond. There's no police report. You're only suing for your rental car fee and pain and suffering $496. Did your insurance cover the damages?
Yes, they did.
And your deductible as well?
Yes, they did.
And I don't know why her dad's here, because he wasn't there. He had nothing to do with the accident.
Well, I was actually going to ask him. That was going to be my question to him, what he's a witness to, if you would allow me to run these proceedings. I know you're sitting up here with me, but just so you know, you're still a witness, okay? I'm still running the courtroom, all right? Okay.
Insurance was under my name. The car was under my insurance, so
He's been dealing a lot with...
I've been dealing with the insurance company, trying to recover the damages and trying to have them subjugate her insurance company, which she said she had. They had no luck getting any confirmation as her car
That
being
she had
insured.
car insurance.
Yeah, they
None.
couldn't find it.
Okay.
My daughter has me on her insurance, and so I had to call my daughter to get the policy number.
Here's what the law is in California. If you hit someone from behind, it is a rebuttable presumption that you are at fault. A rebuttable presumption means then the burden turns to you. You have to prove, no, I'm not at fault. They, in fact, caused this accident. The only evidence you have here in court is your own testimony that for some reason the plaintiff put her car in reverse and reversed into you. There are no eyewitnesses to that. There are no statements to that at the scene. I'm not convinced that that actually happened. And she offers specific evidence about you being on your GPS. Were you looking at your GPS that day? Is she completely making that up?
I don't have the GPS.
Okay, I believe the plaintiff's testimony in this case.
And she wrote me letters she has written me letters trying to get me to give her $750.
Yes, I did send her
for
that
what?
letter.
Okay, that's fine, but now we're in court and she's not suing you for $750. Who has evidence of a voicemail they want me to listen to before I wrap this case up?
I submitted a voicemail.
What is it about?
Nancy called me after I sent that letter to her and basically, kind of threatened me, saying if...
Nancy?
Yeah. Saying a bunch of crazy stuff that was untrue and basically...
Let me hear the voicemail.
I'm still on a walker because I have a broken back. It's all stemmed from that wreck. Now, if you want to play hardball, baby, we can do it.
Did you hear that, Nancy? That was you?
That was me.
Okay, so you're talking about her writing you letters. You're telling her if she wants to play hardball.
Yeah, because she's trying to extort money from me. She's trying to extort money from my daughter.
$396? That's all they're suing you for. Car rental. You're suing her for $4,000. Your back was broken in this accident?
I got a whiplash because the next day I had to go to the doctor. I couldn't even turn my head either way.
If that happened, I believe then that you probably had some pre-existing injuries that were probably aggravated, because looking at the damages on these cars, I don't think that the impact was so severe to break your back, okay? I don't find that she is the cause of this accident, so your counterclaim is dismissed.
I didn't ask her for anything at that time. I wasn't asking for a dime.
So then this lawsuit you're suing now is in retaliation because she sued you?
I asked for the money now because I need a car. They have 3 cars, I have none.
Okay, judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of their out-of-pocket expenses, which only amount to $396. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $396. Good luck to everyone.
I hope that she gets her hearing fixed and kind of figures out her medical issues, and I wish her well.
Plaintiff Morgan Burson says her former friend secretly switched cell phone plans, sticking her with a bunch of unpaid bills. She's suing for an early termination fee, an iPhone balance, and additional fees. Defendant Melissa Barnes says she owes nothing because Morgan knew the cell phone contract was being terminated and was cool with it.
Morgan Burson?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, Melissa Barnes?
Yes, Your Honor.
For $686, the cost of an early termination fee, the balance on an iPhone 6, and additional fees?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, why don't you explain to me what's going on?
Okay, well, we were neighbors in our apartment complex. I lived above her, and we became friends, and our kids are in the same age group, so we got to know each other. And eventually we started talking about our phones, and she was telling me how she wanted an iPhone and how her phone had broken. I was like, well, I have an old iPhone, and I could possibly put you on my plan.
And why was she asking to be on your plan? She didn't have her own plan?
Well, she asked, and she was a friend, so I trusted her, and...
You trust her to go out to dinner, but now we're talking about a responsibility for a bill, right?
True.
So what was the reason? Did she tell you a reason why she wanted to be on your account?
Just her, credit, if I'm not mistaken, because
credit issue.
Yeah.
Meaning she didn't have good credit?
I'm not sure as far as that goes.
Meaning she doesn't pay her bills? Meaning red flag, number 1, number 2?
Well, I honestly didn't think about it like that, Your Honor, so I was just trying to help a friend out.
So why were you asking to be on her plan?
I actually wanted an iPhone, and I tried to do it myself, but my credit was not good enough to do it myself.
Okay.
And I knew that Ms. Burson and her husband were already on the plan, and I asked her, was it possible that I be added to her plan?
Okay.
She explained to me, how it worked, and I agreed, and it was done.
I love how you're calling her Ms. Burson. Y'all have known each other for all these years. You're so formal today, but
yes,
I love it. Go ahead.
And she agreed to put me on the plan, saying that my bill could possibly be around $50.
How are you making monthly payments, to her or directly to the phone company?
I would call the phone company directly, and they would just take it off my debit card. But I would have to contact her to find out how much the bill was, because everything, like she said, was in her name.
It was still paid. In 2016, you were current.
Yes.
Okay. It may have been paid, but it did incur late fees. It was already irritating that I have to keep reminding you to pay your bill. You're grown. I shouldn't have to tell you, hey, pay your bill. Hey, pay your bill. But I did.
But it was still paid, no matter how many times she had to remind me.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the cell phone situation between the former friends goes from bad to worse.
Her boyfriend proceeded to come down the aisle. He was hostile. Well, I'm gonna take everything on this shelf and throw it at him to protect myself.
Plaintiff Morgan Burson says Melissa promised to cover the unpaid bills. She's suing for an early termination fee, an iPhone balance, and additional fees. Defendant Melissa Barnes says she owes nothing because Morgan allowed her to change plans.
2 years go by. You're sending her these reminders. What happens in 2016?
She asked how much the phone bill was, and I told her it was $70 plus tax and the late fee. And then she asked, how could she get another phone? I called Sprint not too long after we got off the phone to inquire about how I could, like release her from her plan without incurring any fees. And they said, well, it's already been done.
So she terminated her contract early.
Yes.
And how much did that cost you?
It was a total of $642.
Let me see that. Let me see proof of that. Now, Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Tell me what's going on. First, did you call and terminate your contract with Sprint?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Okay. So there's a cost associated with that?
Well, I wasn't sure about any of that because I was on her plan.
Okay.
I called Miss Burson and I asked her for the account number and the PIN number. She asked me why.
Okay.
And I indicated to her I'm switching my phone.
And now we have proof that there are termination fees associated with that.
Yeah, but I also feel like she could have let me know that I could not come out of her plan when I indicated to her a week before that I was thinking about switching. She should have said, well, it's gonna be a fee if you come off the plan because
is she your Sprint representative now? Because you called Sprint to terminate the plan, right?
I did, but
you
was
had
her
a conversation
account.
with Sprint, right?
All I asked for was the account number. They asked me, all I asked for was
Whose fault is that? You called them, you have a conversation with them, and you don't ask them a simple question, hey, I'm terminating this plan, it's early, are there any fees associated with it? You don't ask them that?
No, Your Honor,
Because you think that your friend who's allowed you to be on this plan for 2 years should do that homework and tell you? She doesn't work for Sprint?
She told me everything else about the phone, when the bill was due,
So you just
how much
defer
it
all of
was.
that responsibility to her. You made the choice to terminate early. There are fees associated with that, and your only defense is your friend who decided to put you on her plan for 2 years didn't tell you, so somehow you're not responsible. It's your phone, it's your responsibility, even though you're on her plan. The agreement between the two of you was that you would be responsible for making your payments.
Yes, Your
you
Honor.
would be responsible for the charges associated with your account. And you say in your complaint, she knew I was terminating the contract, so I feel that I don't owe. Again, that's not relevant. Everyone in this room now knows that you were terminating your contract. So what? That somehow relieves you of your obligation, your responsibility?
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
So have the two of you been on speaking terms since this happened earlier this year?
I actually saw her in Walmart, and
And what? What
I
happened?
just kept going.
No, she did not, Your Honor. In Walmart, 'cause that's where I work, I was working, I was putting up some grocery, and her older son, they walked past the aisle, and he said, Mama, there go that girl. And I'm like, that girl? I wasn't that girl
No.
until all of this happened.
No.
And so I brushed it off, didn't think nothing of it. So she said, what girl? So they came back. It was her son, and her boyfriend. He proceeded to come down the aisle where I was, very hostile. And I looked, because in my head, I'm thinking either two things are going to happen. I'm going to scream and keep my job, or I'm going to take everything on this shelf and throw it at him to protect myself and lose my job.
What do you mean
That's
by he was very hostile?
the way he walked. He was hostile.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, I'm finna come check her. Like, I'm finna come at her.
And so what happened?
And she, Miss Barnes, said, oh, nah, baby, we ain't gonna turn up on her in the Walmart. We ain't gonna turn up on her in the Walmart. Let's go.
That's not true.
Did she say anything to you?
She didn't say anything.
Okay,
but
so nothing happened at the Walmart?
No, nothing
Okay.
other than her boyfriend approaching me.
Okay, all right. Based on the proof and the evidence that the plaintiff has submitted to the court, you owe for the early termination fee, which is $345. Instead of requiring you to return the iPhone, you have to pay the balance that was due on the iPhone on this account, and also the account fees that were associated with early termination. So that's a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor of $686. That's what you owe on the phone, ma'am. That's my judgment. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I feel great about it. Judge Faith saw it my way. She saw that I was telling the truth, and I was just trying to help a friend, and this is what I get, so lesson learned.
There is no friendship or relationship. I can't take being lied on, and that's exactly what she did. So for that, she doesn't exist to me.